to address this national conference of the South African Local Government Association. I can see that this habit of interviewing people is something that is deeply etched in your makeup, that even when you are asked to be master of ceremonies, you still want to interview people who come to speak. All the questions you were raising were being raised as though you are interviewing me. One day I will come to your studio so that you can interview me properly. I can see that you are hungry for me. You are desperate to have me in your studio and ask me all these questions. Yes, I do still believe that the people have spoken, as I said almost 100 days ago. It is 25 years since SALGA was formed. And for 25 years, this organization has played and performed a critical role in supporting municipalities and championing the needs of communities across the country. I say so advisedly, having seen how SALGA operates, having interfaced with its officials, and having been able to admire the depth of knowledge and experience that those who belong to SALGA I've interfaced with. I've been hugely impressed. So SALGA has been playing a very important role in the body politic of our country, much as the sector that you operate in faces huge challenges. The national conference that you are having today will be electing new leadership, reviewing and strengthening SALGA's systems and processes, and adopting a new organizational strategy for the next 5 years. We have come together as mayors, councillors, local government representatives, and representatives of provincial and national government because we share a common determination to fundamentally improve the lives of the citizens of our country. Over the past 28 years of democratic government, we have made commendable progress in delivering basic services to the people of our country, especially the poor and the vulnerable. We have provided clean and safe water. We have made progress in providing decent sanitation and electrified homes, particularly homes that were never electrified. And there are many of those where our people have always lived in darkness. We've built houses, and we count on the houses side 4 million and above. I keep saying that there aren't many countries on our continent who can testify to having done something like that. We built clinics and we built hospitals. We have provided free basic and tertiary education and free primary health care to our people. We have an extensive social security net that caters for some 46% of our population, proving that we are a compassionate government and country that acts in solidarity with the most vulnerable in our society. And this year, during the State of the Nation address, we said we must do everything we can and leave no one behind. That has to be the one slogan that we keep repeating, that none of our people must be left behind. The task before us now is to consolidate the gains that we have made and we continue to make, to deepen these gains and to ensure that we realize the aspirations of the people of South Africa. Municipalities are the first point of contact between government and the people. Our people first experience the work of government, the presence of government, even the existence of government at local government level. When there are local government failures, the effects are felt immediately and they are far-reaching. Program Director, as you correctly said, 3 months ago we held local government elections in which the people of South Africa once again spoke by exercising their democratic rights freely and fairly. Notwithstanding the outcomes, which may not have made many of us happy and others happy, the people of South Africa did speak. And it is that voice that we must continue to respect, no matter what. However, we should be concerned about the low voter turnout across the country and what this says and means about voters' experiences of local government. A report prepared by the Department of Cooperative Governance in June last year noted that only 5% of our country's municipalities were financially stable. Others are in financial distress with insufficient revenue to meet their own expenses. And others are not even able to pay the employees' salaries. Some 64 municipalities are considered to be dysfunctional. This dysfunction is rooted in poor governance, weak institutional capacity, poor financial management, corruption, and political instability. Now, these are the challenges that a number of our municipalities face. By June last year, some 26 municipalities had been placed under administration. This is a huge number. This number has now risen to 31 municipalities under administration. And we continue to hear about municipalities under threat of administration. Many residents have lost faith in the ability of local government to meet their needs. But the worst part is that so have many investors as well. To take just one example, June last year, the dairy group Clover closed the country's largest cheese factory in Northwest, citing ongoing challenges with water, electricity, and road infrastructure. Clover is just one of a number of companies that have been affected by poor service delivery, forcing them to move their operations elsewhere and depriving needy parts of our country of investment and employment opportunities. The challenges in municipalities do not only affect the lives of communities, they damage both local economies and the economy of our country more broadly. Colleagues and friends, this need not be the case. We have the means and the ability, the wisdom and the experience to correct this. Things do not have to be this way. We do not have to be at the bottom of the league when it comes to governing and running our municipalities. Much of this responsibility is carried by the newly elected councillors and by municipal officers, which they will be working in. Local government is where you can make the biggest difference in the lives of our people. It is local government that is also the most enabler of economic growth and development. Now, if we look at countries that have been recording the highest and the fastest economic growth, and I cite, for instance, China, their economic growth almost 30 years ago really started at local government level. It did not start at the national level. It generated from the local level, where the local players, elected representatives, officials, saw it as their first responsibility to engender, to encourage, and to ensure that there is economic development, creating a climate in which investors will want to invest. Because it is not only by Clover saying that they are leaving the northwest town and going elsewhere. It is the many other Clovers who look at that local government, local town, and say, we are not going to invest there. So the loss is not only those jobs that will be lost when Clover shut down their operation. It is the loss of 10 times, 20 times, 50 times more of those jobs that will never be created, because investments do not take place at the union buildings. Nobody comes to the union buildings and says, President, I saw a little piece of the garden in the union buildings. Can I build a cheese factory there? No. They invest in the local area, and they are attracted to go to that local area by a number of attractive factors or attributes. When there is stability in the governance of the town, they will come running. When there is reliable water, they will come. When they know that there is no problem with sanitation in the town, they will come. And when they know that your energy supply and refuse services and your road and infrastructure maintenance is really top class, they will come. It is therefore at local government level where the local government itself creates that climate that you will be able to attract investment. When your town is filthy with plastics and paper all over the town, with sewage running through the towns, water leakages, potholes, nobody will come to your town to invest. And what does that lead to? It means that you have less revenue. Even those who want to build houses will not come and build there because they will say, no, I will not go and live in a filthy city, in a city that doesn't work, where there is political instability, where the councillors are getting killed, where the mayor and the speaker and the chief whip and everyone else are always at loggerheads, and where there is political instability. It becomes unattractive, and money, investments just walks away. It is very important for us to get this into our heads and realize that the actions that we take as leaders are such that they are seen by others, and if they manifest themselves in the creation of a climate that is not conducive for investment, there won't be any investments. So we have to decide who we are going to put first. Is it us the elite, or is it the people? Is it us or those that we are meant to serve? As leaders across government, we have to work with all stakeholders who make up the communities that we live in. We have to work with them to deliver a better life to our people. But working with them also means that we've got to be connected to them. We've got to make sure that we are there present with them. We know their hardships, we understand them, we address them, and we report back to them. Even as we report difficulties and shortcomings and impossibilities, like Minister Dlamini Zuma was saying, our people will appreciate it. If, for instance, we had said we will build 500 houses and we only succeed in building 20, and we go to our people and explain why it happened honestly and openly, our people will understand. But the problem is that we don't. And this is what we heard and learned during the local government elections, where citizens were saying, we don't know our councillors. They don't come to us. They don't call meetings and all that. And some were even saying, even when they call meetings on a sectional basis. They only call meetings for those who are their friends and support them. This, colleagues, calls for decisive leadership and accountability. We must focus on building municipalities that are sustainable, that are efficient, but also municipalities that are free of corruption. Our people abhor corruption. Corruption does not rub our people on the right side. It doesn't. They hate it because they know they do not benefit from corruption, and only a few people benefit from corruption. And one of the best ways of eliminating corruption is to make sure that the money that is spent at local government level is spent transparently. And if tenders have to be issued, they must be issued transparently. People must see that there were so many that competed, but there are so many that have the competence that can do the work, and the tender was worth so much money, and it will be fulfilled, and whoever will have won the tender must also know that they're under the microscope of our people. They will be watching them closely. Colleagues, that is the only way to rid our local government of corruption. Anything else will not do. I say so also advisedly. I was once in another country and we were taken to a local government area, and everything financial that they did was plastered on the wall so that everyone who lives there can come and see. There happened to have been a tender for a particular process that they had asked contractors to do. It was all there. Those who had failed knew why they failed. Those who had succeeded knew why they succeeded, what it was going to cost, and all that, and delivery was also reported. If we don't do things transparently, particularly with public money, and remembering that it's not our money, we are managing the money on behalf of others, of its owners, we will always be suspected to be doing things incorrectly. So it is important that we address corruption, we remove the notion of corruption by acting in the most transparent manner, right to the last cent. We passed the Municipal Structures Amendment Act. It came into effect on the 1st of November 2021, and it introduces an enforceable revised code of conduct for councillors. Now, this code introduces consequences for those who do not uphold and adhere to it. As the different spheres of government, we are committed to a range of additional measures to strengthen local government. They include institutionalizing acceptable levels of performance and service delivery for councils. And it's important for us to realize that we live in a different era. Our people no longer are accepting of poor performance. They've become wiser, they've become more perceptive, and we can no longer hoodwink them, if we ever did. So they want everything laid out correctly and truthfully, and our code then begins to speak to the level of performance that is required. These measures include a campaign to construct and maintain things like water and sanitation infrastructure, to speed up processes to ensure energy security, and fully implement the provision of free basic services. To deliver on their responsibilities, municipalities must address poor revenue collection. Municipalities are owed billions by businesses, by government entities, and even government departments and households for services rendered. Now, in line with the campaign led by the Deputy President, known as Responsible Citizenry, we must urge consumers of municipal services to pay for what they receive. And what I do know is that many of our people are willing, prepared to pay for what they receive, but they want to get value for money. They want to get good service. If they do not receive good service, that's when they feel that they should not pay. So our job is to remember that the customer, the consumer, is always right, and give them the best service possible, and then they will reciprocate by paying. We should encourage good citizenship and promote a culture of payment for services. And this requires even explaining at great and deep depth, if I can put it that way, why it is necessary to pay. And once that explanation has been given, calmly, respectfully, and in depth, touching all sides of the argument, I always find that our people are reasonable. It is therefore important that we should increase the level of payment, because if we do not increase our revenue collection, we will never be able to run sustainable municipalities. I know that in a number of places in our country, particularly in the deep rural areas, it is difficult for a number of municipalities to collect revenue. We need to look at a number of options, and that is why it is important that even in those areas, in the rural areas, we need to have economic growth and participation, because once we can get really good economic growth, those who participate in that type of economic activity can augment the revenue base of our municipalities there. So this conference should make a call to all who use municipal services, beginning with government entities and government departments, to lead by example and ensure that their municipal accounts are paid. And if you do not follow those who owe you up, they will not pay. So it is important that we should actually be insisting that payment should be made. It makes no sense to me that those entities that can afford, government departments, government entities, businesses, do not get put under pressure to pay. And even those residents who should pay. And those who are not able to pay, they register under the indigent register facility. And as one has encountered some of our own citizens, some would argue that asipangeli, arisebenzi, arishumi. And one has to say, even as you don't work, we are a government that has demonstrated care and compassion. Go and register as an indigent and explain your circumstances so that it is registered and you can get those free services that government already budgets for. And that is what we now should be doing to encourage our people to pay. I believe that if we can do so, we can really financially revolutionize our local government, and there can be payment. There are two areas where we can do so. Is ourselves by promoting economic growth and being the champions of economic growth, the stability, but also attracting economic growth into our areas and also encouraging our people to pay so that our revenues can go up, because when the revenues go up, we create more of a conducive climate for investments, and we provide better services, and we remunerate our workers, and they even perform better. In the State of the Nation address, I reiterated our commitment to the district development model to grow local economies, to create jobs, and to deliver services better and faster. Now, this district development model aims to improve coordination between national, provincial, and local, and between government and its social partners as well. Now, through this model, we aim to energize our entire system of cooperative governance and bring coherence to an important area of governance such as planning and implementation. Once it is fully operational, we will know at all times what is needed, where it is needed, and how it will be done, whatever needs to be done, will be owned, embraced by everyone. And we will also know what it will cost. And ordinary people will also know through their various structures that are part of the stakeholder ecosystem in the town, in the district, in the development area. What, for instance, what the budget of the district is, of the municipalities are, as well as what it will cost to close the potholes, to maintain the sewerage and all that. And everybody knows that, and everybody knows how we are going to raise money and pay for all this. The Department of Cooperative Governance, in partnership with several stakeholders, has been developing profiles for each of our country's districts and metros, and I think they've already finished quite a number of them. The profiles reveal the specific challenges and opportunities of these areas, such as the gender composition of our districts, the social infrastructure, the number of child-headed households, and levels of poverty and illiteracy. This is the most comprehensive undertaking that we've ever embarked upon, where we are able to introspectively look at every district. And when it's all done, we will have wall-to-wall coverage of our knowledge of what is happening in each district. But more importantly, we will also know what the endowments, the, if you like, God-given positives that every district has, and how we can capitalize on that, and how we can maximize the positives, but we will also know the negatives, and how we can minimize those negatives and focus on them on our priority list. Now, having these profiles in hand, we're then able to develop an intergovernmental plan for each of our districts or metro, known as the One Plan. The One Plan is what sets out a long-term strategic framework to guide investment and service delivery in a specific district or metro. And this is when we will be able, as a district or a metro, to be able to say, this is where we want to be as a district in 5 years or 10 years. And everybody in the district will now say, we know where we want to be. The National Development Plan gives us a national plan of where we should be by 2030. But we now need to drill further down to the district, to the municipality, and say, where do we want to be? If the district needs, if you like, 10,000 houses, we should be then able to say, we are going to be able to deliver 1,000 houses every year for the next 10 years. Everybody knows. And if we want to deliver 2,000, everybody should then know what extra we should do. Collect more revenue and attract more businesses who will pay, a variety of taxes and all that, so that in the end our equitable share can also match that. Through these One Plans, we are forging innovative partnerships with communities, businesses, and other stakeholders to improve and accelerate implementation of key development projects. We will be looking to the district development model to help put South Africa on a new path of socio-economic and spatial transformation. And if we can do this and identify the number of just few areas that we want to focus on, not too many, let us choose those we can, let them be our low-hanging fruit, execute that so that we can move forward. I do believe, family, Program Director, Mr. Vuyo Mvoko, that there's a great future for our local government. Post the 2021 local government elections, whatever result they yielded, our people spoke. But having spoken, they also, particularly those who did not go to vote, were saying, we are not satisfied with the performance that we've been receiving. We want you to up your game. Now, SALGA is the engine that can enable us to up our game. Through SALGA, the empowering process, the supportive process that it plays to our local government, I do firmly believe that if nothing else, the 2021 elections gave all of us a wake-up call that says, wake up and smell the coffee, but provide good services to us as the people of our local sphere. And if you do that, then we too, as a people, will respond positively. In conclusion, I wish you well, colleagues, in your deliberations in the coming days. I have no doubt that each one of us understands the urgency of this moment. Let us turn adversity into opportunity. Let us turn local government around completely, like our people want us to do. And I wish the new leadership of SALGA and all councillors well in the all-important task of improving the lives of the people of South Africa. I thank you and I wish you well. Thank you.
Well, we are going to